Hi, I'm Judith Monroe, and this is my studio. One of the things that I do is teach photography, and in this video, I'm going to show you, along with my many students, um, a little bit about how color editing, how color comes into a play when we're editing digitally, because you may have heard these terms temperature and tint and saturation and vibrance, but what the heck? What do they mean?
So here I am in one of the most basic photo editing apps there are. This is my iPad. This is a photograph I took, and I'm just going to show you some real simple editing actually in the editing program right here that Apple offers, because interestingly it actually has some color options that even Snapseed doesn't have. So I'm going to come down to what Apple calls warmth, and this is referring to our color temperature. And you can see they actually have a little thermometer here. And so the warmth of a color, the warmth of colors, or the warmth of light, because we're really talking about the colors of light. So not all light is the same color. If you shop for light bulbs, you know this. Used to be you could go just grab a light bulb. Now there's the warm ones, and there's the cool ones, and there's the ones in between. And it's cool because now you're having an idea what color light is. And it starts with, in the center of the kind of spectrum, we have what we call our daylight, which is a white light. But we can actually, sometimes light can be warm or cool. And so you can see this kind of simulates what warmer light would look like. Everything gets a little bit warmer. What cooler light would look like. And if your camera or your phone, the auto white balance isn't working quite right, you can use this as a correction. So that's how that works. You could say, okay, really it was a little warmer in there. And kind of this is how it works. This is downstairs in a room, my dining room. Welcome to my house. That has light, natural light coming in from a north window, which has a tendency to be a little bluer or a little cooler. And I just know the color of that wall is really a little bit warmer than this was showing. So that's kind of how we look. Tint is another kind of light changing light spectrum. It goes from the green to the magenta, and not very often. So I think this looks a little more magenta. You can really see it when you push all the way, kind of like magenta, kind of pinkish light. And then green, oh gosh, all the way down there. And this is the kind of light you might be familiar with, is sometimes fluorescent lights can really have a green cast to them. And a lot of times you're not going to see these different lights. Our eyeballs and our brains adjust super fast to different colors of light. The time that you might see the different colors of light, or if you're driving down the road and it's dusky, kind of as the sun is going down, and somebody has the lights on in their house, if they're the typical tungsten lights, it'll look very yellow. The lights inside the house will look very yellow, and outside will look very blue, and that kind of lets you see that. The green magenta shift typically would happen with especially older fluorescent bulbs were very, very green. And so to compensate, when we shot with film, which didn't have an auto white balance, we would have to kind of play with that in the darkroom and actually add magenta to counteract the green light. So that's what these two things, the tint, the warmth or the temperature, and then we have vibrance and saturation. And they're very similar. Vibrance affects the paler colors. So let's look to see what gets brighter. And if you watch, there's pale yellows up here. This is kind of blown out, but pale yellows up here, that as we increase the vibrance, that color gets a lot brighter. Here's kind of that normal. Here's that yellow. So other colors in here that are stronger, like this wall, not affected so much. A little bit, but not a whole lot. And then if we take it all away, we're just like draining the color out of a lot of things down there. And then saturation really affects all of the colors. So a more saturated color is more intense. You can see as we come all the way up, it's like everything is super, super colored. Almost to like yuck. But this is what saturation means. And when we desaturate completely, we have a black and white image.
So I hope that helps you understand a little bit more. Temperature is changing the color is really based on the color of the light, but it effectively changes the color in the image from the warm like red yellow end of the spectrum through white to the blue end of the spectrum. Tints does the same kind of thing, magenta to green. This is all in the all those light particles that are flying through the air that we don't really realize. And then finally, vibrance affects the more subtle colors, the weaker colors in our image, and saturation affects the whole thing. Until next time, do me a favor. Share, subscribe, like, comment, and I'll see you around. Bye.